Working on mobile teams at large and small companies, I've noticed it's often tricky to figure out a good strategy when it comes to testing. With limited resources, how do you know which devices to test on, and how do you do a consistent job every time? When new users come into your app, you need to make a good impression or they won't come back. And if you aren't sure about your app's behavior on different devices before each release, you can run into serious surprises in your crash reports after you launch. That's why we built Firebase Test Lab. It helps improve the quality of your user's experience by letting you run tests on real devices in our data centers before you ship. It's great for small apps with a bunch of functionality you can use without adding a single line of code. And for larger apps, Test Lab offers a ton of customizations. So let's get started with Firebase Test Lab. Welcome to another episode of Firecasts. I'm Todd Berner from the Firebase team. Firebase Test Lab lets you test your app on real and virtual devices, taking advantage of simple pricing. You can test any app, whether or not it uses Firebase, and take advantage of Test Lab. So here I am in the Firebase console. If you've never used Test Lab on this Firebase project, you'll be presented with this first run experience. The next time you visit, you'll see a more customizable set of options. If I click Test Lab in the project, I'm presented with this screen asking me to upload my APK. When I do, it'll perform a free automated test of my app. This is a special sort of test called a robo test, where Test Lab will crawl my app in an intelligent way. This test doesn't require any code or configuration upfront. Let's talk about what type of APKs you can upload to Test Lab. Debug APKs are okay, as they don't need to be formally signed. This is the easiest way to get started with Test Lab. On the other hand, incremental builds with instant run will not work, because everything we need is not in a single APK. So here I am in Android Studio. I usually do a full clean build from the command line, so I'll run a gradle clean and assemble debug command. I'll run that here in the Android Studio command line. While that builds, I should mention it can be tricky to find the debug APK that you build. One tip is that the output of this command will yield the output location of the debug APK. If it's your preference, on Mac, you can then cd into its directory and type open dot to open a Finder window, which makes it super easy to drag that APK into the Firebase console. I'll do that here. Now I drop my APK into this field. After it uploads, the first tests automatically start running on a real Google Pixel device at one of Google's data centers. It could take a while for Test Lab to finish its automated test. You can wait for it to complete in the dashboard, or you can come back later after you get an email update. When those tests are done, I'll get a convenient email alert that lets me know which test was completed and whether or not it resulted in any crashes. In fact, anyone with the reader role or more in the project will get this email. I can then click into the dashboard to see more. The dashboard shows me the path of where the robo test went in my app, how long it crawled, and screenshots of the unique screens robo found. If I click into the Logs tab, I can see the full logcat output of the app while it was being tested. The Screenshots tab shows the individual screens that my app displayed and highlights some of the interactions between my app and the robo tests. Finally, we have the Video and Performance screens, which will show some of the performance metrics collected while my app was being tested. Like I mentioned before, you can run tests against pretty much any APK. This means debugger release build types with or without Firebase integrated, and you can test multiple different apps all in the same project. So let's talk about pricing. On the Spark plan, Firebase Test Lab is free for 10 virtual tests and 5 real device tests per day. If you upgrade to the Blaze plan, you'll be billed $5 per physical device hour and $1 per virtual device hour. But you only pay for when your tests are actually being run, not device allocation, prep, or teardown. This means that if your tests run on 5 different device configurations, and you've submitted a test that takes 12 minutes to run on each device, that's a total of 1 hour, which will cost $5. Or if you have 6 different device configurations that each run for 10 minutes, that's also a total of 1 hour for $5. The math is pretty easy, so you get the idea. You can choose the maximum amount of time per crawl to make sure that you stay under budget. Oh, and there's one other thing. If you don't want to pay for testing, you can still take advantage of Firebase Test Lab by uploading your APK to an alpha or beta channel in the Google Play Developer Console. All you have to do is opt in to the pre-launch report on Google Play. From that point on, every APK you upload to those channels will receive a 5-minute robotest across a fixed set of devices at no charge to you. After a while, those test results will appear alongside your APK in the channel where you uploaded it. Congrats! You just did your first robotest in Test Lab. Subscribe and watch the next video where I'll talk about setting up your first advanced test using specific devices and Google Login. If you have any questions, reach out to us on Twitter with the hashtag AskFirebase or in the comments below. I'm Todd Berner. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, test early and often with Firebase.